Hello friends and welcome back for episode 45 of our Terraria 1.3 Let's Play. I hope you're all doing well today. This might be the day that many of you have been waiting for since the very beginning of the series. This is the day when we begin the Lunar event, and you might have been able to tell based on the thumbnail that something has changed. Well, the thing that's changed primarily is that I am now Sonic the Hedgehog covered in tornadoes and beetles, because that's probably fast, I guess? I don't know. Honestly, it's just a quirk of the fact that I've got the Celestial Shell in a cosmetic slot, turns you into Sonic the Hedgehog, and, you know, it's sort of bolstered by the fact that I happen to be covered in blue dye, the glowing mushroom dye here. So, you know, that's cool, I guess. We can run around at the speed of sound and roll and do cool things like that, I guess. Now we just need to get a cool Tails pet that'll follow us and fall onto spikes constantly. Anyway, I think that's really what we're all about today. It's going to be us going over to fight the lunatic cultists, which is step 1. Step 2 will then be us taking down the pillars, and there are 4 of those, and they take a little while to kind of whittle away at their health. And then step 3, of course, is when you finish the 4th and final pillar, you summon the Moon Lord, which is a big, scary event. And, well, I don't think we're going to be covering that on this episode, but it could happen as soon as next episode, depending on how things go. So I've got pretty much all the stuff the way I want it for the most part. The only thing that I could really perhaps do to kind of increase my chances, we'll see we're at 86 defense. If I swap out the Avenger emblem with this, we go from 86 to 97. That is because we've actually got, well, a defense bonus on this one, and this is a damage bonus on the Avenger emblem, so switching those out, we instantly get the plus 4 defense, plus we also get a stat bonus to all stats, so I guess it kind of adds up that way. It may be not the best choice. Perhaps what might have been a better choice is to switch out with the Frostspark boots, but I think we're just going to go hard on defense and see how that works. You might also notice I have put one of these guys over here. I already had this actually in my inventory, rather in my chest area. Just need to pull it out and put it down somewhere. This is a sharpening stone, and when I click on it, it gives me a sharpened bonus, which basically gives me extra armor penetration on all of my melee weapons, and since I'm using primarily melee weapons, I probably want to do that, I suppose. So let's go ahead and click on all of our usual buffs, and then we will get on with things. Basically, we're just going to fly over to the dungeon, which is where the lunatic cultists live. You might remember after I killed, what was it, Plantera, I suppose, or the golem, rather. Then these dudes showed up at the beginning of the dungeon in the entranceway. And that's their whole thing, is they're just there to give me a hard time, and when we fight them, then everything's going to head, well, down the drain, essentially, because it'll be the end of the world. The only upside is the world might end, but the world doesn't have to actually end, because when you kill the Moon Lord, the world goes back to normal again, so yay! We'll see if we're capable of doing such things. I don't know 100%, but we'll find out. Also, I'm not sure if this is the best summon to use. It might actually have been smarter to use the Twins one, considering this one seems to miss quite frequently, but, you know, let's just give it a shot. I want to use the first fight, as I often do, to sort of base what my damage is going to be. So right now we'll find out, hey, am I totally out of my league? Do I need to go back and look for stuff? Do I need to sort out my stats more? Or, I don't know, I feel like I'm pretty well min-maxed, even perhaps slightly above what I usually am for this part in the game, because I've gone out of my way to get extra items that put together to make better items, and, well, I usually don't bother with doing both the Avenger emblem and also the Warrior emblem for extra added damage, and I've never done the Celestial Shell before, so that's going to be a new experience as well. It sucks we don't get to be Sonic. I'd have to make 2 of them to both be Sonic and also get the benefit. I might be able to be Sonic if it's midnight or something like that, but I don't know. Not midnight, rather, a full moon. Anyway, so these guys here... Oh, well, we've already engaged. I didn't actually mean to start that yet, but it is time. I don't really have an arena here to fight, which is probably a mistake. I should probably drop... You know what? I might actually have time to do this right now, provided I have a little bit of wood in my inventory. I don't have much, actually, but hopefully it's enough to get the job done. Let's just empty out on wood. 86 should do it. So we're going to go from this point here and just kind of build out. I want to have the longest, flattest surface that I can, and then we can bounce back and forth and fight all the dudes here. It can be a tricky fight. I mean, I've only experienced it in expert mode, so I don't know how hard it's going to be right now for us. But the big caveat is there's a couple phases to it, and there's a dragon that shows up, and there's like a whole thing about not hitting stuff, and then hitting stuff, and, well, I don't know how exactly to do it. So we're going to find out on the fly, and we're going to hopefully be okay. Gonna put a couple of torches down so we can see our land underneath us, in case it becomes dark for whatever reason. And I'm going to also hit B as soon as we're ready. This dude's stuck in my house, which is probably fortuitous for me. Let's put one more thing. What do I want to put back in my... There's not really anything that I need to have in my slots here, so let's just do that. Cool. Here we go, let's fight. These guys, well, they're not actually the main event. I have to kill them, and then... That's the guy right there. That's the lunatic cultist in the flesh. I've hit B. He popped his little sigil, shoots up in the air, and the fight begins. We're shooting freaking exploding sharks at him like nobody's business. I mean, it's your business because you're watching this Let's Play, but it's nobody's business really in the scheme of like how you run your life. I'm gonna try out this yo-yo, which doesn't seem to be doing a ton of damage. Let's get this guy going. Somebody said to me that it's probably not worth bothering with the storm clouds anymore, like that they're not just doing enough damage. I feel like maybe you're right, but at the same time, it's free damage. It doesn't really cost me anything to put it down. I mean, it's a little bit of MP, but I get it back almost instantaneously, so... I don't know, what's really the downside? The only downside is really when I get hit a bunch of times in the process of figuring out how to put them down. Which, well, I shouldn't really have happened too much. Oh, I was targeting the wrong dude there. Dragon died pretty quickly, I'll be honest. The Fable lie detector. Alright, this works. Let's... Alright, well, I wanted him to kind of stick around in one spot. He didn't want to do that. So that's okay. Let's make do with what we've got. He's down to almost half health already, and honestly, in the scheme of things, he doesn't have as much health as a lot of the bosses I do fight. I mean, certainly compared to Duke Fishron, I feel like this is probably a much easier fight. Either that, or I just have better gear now since the last time I fought him, which could also be the case. So I wanted to freaking fight him like a freaking lunatic myself, and use all of the worst gear. Well, that's what happened last time, and it didn't work out well for us, as you saw. We died. Several times, in fact. Oops. What have I done? Why did I switch weapons there? I must have accidentally hit the button. So we've got 20 seconds left on a heal. I want to make sure that when we... Oh my god, I gotta stop freaking putting my mouse cursor to the top of the screen because it's changing my weapons without my permission. Stop that. Why is... Oh my god, it's doing it and I can't even stop myself. My mouse cursor just keeps drifting up. We're at heal time. There we go. It's amazing how quickly you lose track of your mouse cursor. And I know about the widening with the white line thing around the cursor. You don't have to tell me any more about it. What would be great is if there is a way to just lock your hotbar so you can't use the mouse to change your items, or that you could keep your mouse cursor locked within the frames of this game window. That's something they've needed to change about the game since, like, 1.0, in my opinion. Yeah, we're doing fine. I think we're going to have a victory here on this guy, and then you'll see how things get pretty dark and dirty right after that. It's going to be a rough night. Can we finish this off? What's his health at? 3,000. Get a bunch of good hits in. Oh yeah, we're buttering his bread right there. Awesome. So that's a victory. That's success right there. We've got it. We got the Ancient Manipulator, which is what we use to craft. This is like our own next level crafting table, which we've got to have one of those for basically every single tier of the world, apparently. And, well, now if we look on our map, we've got some icons that are distributed all over the place. We got the pink one here, the Nebula Pillar. We've got the orange one there, the Solar Pillar. Got the Stardust Pillar, and we've got the Vortex Pillar. All of these have to die. Now, I believe most people will say the orange one is the hardest, and the pink one is the second hardest. The blue one is probably the easiest, and the Vortex Pillar is like second easiest. So that's probably around the order that we'll go in because, well, why not? They each have an item that I could probably use to make. And all I really need to get back home is to just undo my spawn point and then head back in the other direction. I'm just going to see... Yeah, that's actually really close, so it works out well if we go back to our home base and take it from there. The art to these areas is actually pretty cool looking, too, when we get to the pillars. You'll see them in just a second here. Let's do one of those, and that'll bring us back home. So the object of the solar pillars is there's this big old nugget of energy in the center, or like it's, I don't know, it's like demonic presence or something like that. And it's got a shield up around it, and the only way to deplete that shield is to beat up all the monsters in that area until the shield gives way. So what we need to do is just basically fight them over and over again, keep dying over and over again, most likely, unless we're better. And then eventually the shield drops, we fight the shield, or we fight the nugget, and then it dies, and then it gives us a bunch of stuff. Then we go back home, craft it into some items, and repeat until we get through all 4. Once we're done with all 4, without warning or hesitation, the man himself shows up, and then we've got a whole new encounter on our hands. So each area has sort of a different theme to it. The theme of this energy pillar in particular is, well, there's enemies that sort of split like a fistula from Isaac, and, well, there's star cells, I guess is what they're called. And you want to make sure that you kill them, otherwise they reform into something, well, just as dangerous as it was in the first place. So each time you kill one of these enemies, you'll see a little line will shoot away from it. That line is going in the direction of the solar pillar itself. Once you stop seeing those lines come out, that means the shield is down and we can go ahead and approach it. So it's just useful to keep that in mind as you're fighting, because, well, it's not going to happen for a little while yet, but just to kind of pay attention to it, so that way we don't miss our opportunity once that happens. I don't know if the shield will go back up if we take too long, but it seems like a probable thing that could happen. But we'll probably find out, because I imagine there'll be a point where I mess up or something, and see what happens from there. So like I said, this is probably the easiest of the 4, at least in my estimation. Yes, I've fought these a number of times on expert mode. Pretty much all of the pillars killed me tons and tons and tons of times in expert mode. I feel like we've got a little bit of a better chance now in normal mode. Not to say that we're necessarily going to get away scot-free, because, well, as I was about to point out, I'm about to die now on the easiest pillar, which means maybe bad things are ahead for us when we get to the orange pillar, which is going to be a nightmare as usual. We're at 5 seconds from a heal. It's usually smarter also to not approach these dudes head on, just like give them a little bit of room and try and find a nice isolated spot where you can get some work done. Because, well, it's not like you really have to rush them. There's no time limit. You just have to kill them all eventually, and it's not like it resets when you die, but at the same time, dying a lot of times is very demoralizing and boring, and, well, I'm sure you guys don't want to watch that. So I'd like to do my best not to die. I guarantee it will happen, but that's sort of just where I'm coming from, so you're aware. We've still got lines shooting out. We do have our debuff actively sabotaging their armor, which I do appreciate, and we've got a number of buffs working in our favor, of course, like I mentioned a moment ago. They're occasionally dropping hearts, too, which I am very eager to go ahead and embrace. The more the merrier when it comes to HP. And I'm thinking we're probably going to end up with, like, a ton of banners from all of these various encounters. Yet again, of course, because banners are the absolute ultimate end-all be-all item in Terraria. For whatever reason, they just load them up. I've posited this idea before in the past. I really think there's some meat to it. After you get 10 of the same banner, let us craft it into a super banner. And then all of a sudden, there's a collecting element to it, right? I think that could be fun. Make there be a reason for us to bother with the banners and collecting them, because who's really in their right mind going to carry them all around and place them down in a variety of different positions? This is the energy nugget, by the way, in case you were wondering what that looked like. I thought I would rush over here before I ended up draining my life all back out again. They all kind of look roughly similar to that, although a little bit different. I have to say the art, though, very, very cool. There's like a certain theme that I've noticed to the Lunar event, where everything has sort of like a pastel kind of thing going on with it. I mean, not to say that the colors are necessarily pastel, but I mean the way that things are colored has sort of softer shading than a lot of the other characters and enemies that I've seen in Terraria. Maybe it's harder to see it with the filters on and stuff, and well, you're usually going to see them with the filters on. But the color schemes have just sort of like a nice light shading to them. And maybe it's because of the filters that I'm making this assumption, I don't know. But I like it. It's kind of a cohesive way of establishing that this patch or this addition to the game is sort of like one unit working in tandem together. Alright, so the shield is down. Now we've just got to whittle away at its health. We'll see if I take too long, if its shield comes back up again. Of course, I'm still under constant siege while I'm fighting these things, and we're down to very little health. Probably should have hung out in, like, this little cubby hole here, but then again, almost all these enemies can just go through walls, so they don't really care very much. I'm probably gonna die here, unfortunately, before we get our first pillar kill in. Unless I play very, very conservatively. Oh, that was, sorry, the 50th star cell, not actually the pillar. Got a little excited. There we go, we got a heal in. Now I'll take a bunch of bad damage before we get another heal opportunity. Alright, I want to actually focus on hitting the pillar, though, not always you guys. Always, sometimes you guys. Freaking indie games and their weird names, am I right? Sometimes, always monsters, always, sometimes monsters. Monsters, Inc. That's not an indie game. Although I guess it could be. I'd actually be interested in playing an indie game around the concept of Monsters, Inc., perhaps obfuscated into a completely different direction. I'm not sure how Sue-happy those people are, but I imagine they're quite Sue-happy. So you'd probably want to avoid that, but I think there's some kind of cool things. I played this game when I was a younger child, and I can't remember exactly the title of it. It was for Sega Genesis. You played as this bad freaking punk ghoul who would show up in people's houses. It's something haunting. It might have just been The Haunting, actually. And you show up in people's houses, and you had to, like, scare this rich family out of the house because I think they, like, had you killed for some reason, and you wanted revenge on them. So, like, you would possess all these objects in the house and do your best to, like, get them in the right position to then creep them out and make them run out of the door screaming. And you had to, like, act in a sequence to try and establish yourself as, like, you're definitely a malevolent force. They weren't just seeing things, or it wasn't just, like, a fluke. You want to actually, like, whittle down their sanity a little bit. Man, this is taking quite a while, isn't it? And there it goes. Now I just have to live past the onslaught because the rest of these dudes don't die afterward. You gotta actually kill them. But anyway, I always thought that concept was a very good one, and there's actually another game that came out much more recently than, like, the early 90s that had a similar concept to it, but it just wasn't executed in as, like, kitschy a manner. So I think part of the fun of that game was how silly it was and, like, how over-the-top the art was. And the fact that actually there were sequences where, like, if you died or like, ran out of ectoplasm, because you were powered by ectoplasm, of course, you would go to, like, this weird hell area where there were hands trying to grab you and, like, freaky stuff was going on. So, like, you as a ghoul were just as vulnerable as the people were to another force. And that was, like, a combination of both creepy and comedic in execution. So, I don't know, there's something about that I don't think a lot of people have been able to really capture. But I think there's some ripe ground for mining there. Make a new haunting game. I think it'd be a lot of fun. So anyway, we've got our first pillar down. I didn't die, amazingly enough. I wasn't expecting that. But let's go back home again. And we got to set up our... What is our item here? The Ancient Manipulator. So we can do some ancient manipulations. This fellow here is, like, right in our way. But that's okay. And this is going to allow us to craft one of a variety of different things. Now, I want to get the Stardust Dragon Staff, because the dragon is freaking awesome. There's also the Stardust Cell Staff, which, well, it seems like between the two of them, this does more damage, but the Stardust Dragon, I know for a fact, is really good, because I've had it before. There's also this. What is this? Oh, this is to wield a small amount of power from the Stardust Tower. Okay, I thought I knew what this did, but actually I don't think I do know. So never mind, we're not going to bother with it. Let's get the Stardust Dragon. And, well, all of the stuff that we get, we have the ability to... Oh, you know what this probably is? This is probably to make... You probably have to make one of each of these from the pillars, and then when you put them all together, it combines into a thing that lets you summon the Moon Lord without having to fight him. Or fight through the pillars. So that's, you know, it's handy. So we got Nasty as our prefix on it. I'm going to go ahead and favorite this item, because I don't want to freaking put it away by accident. And let's go summon some dragons into the world. Instead of making multiple dragons, I believe clicking on the bewitching table just makes the dragon longer. But you'll see, he does good work. I think you'll like him quite a bit. And he's going to help us out for a long time to come. He'll be probably our mainstay summon fellow for the rest of the game. Until, well, unless something better comes along that I'm not aware of, but I don't think there is much better. So we're in a bit of an awkward spot with this particular guy because, well, it's super far away. Oh, wait, there's a house over here. I could probably just drag a bed over, and then we could set up... Yeah, you know what? That's a really smart idea. I don't want to have to run back every time I've got to have something in my furniture area here for this. Oh, wrong one. I want to go to general decor. We have a bed around. We've got a sofa. We do not have a bed, unless I put the bed in furniture, which actually would make a lot of sense if I did that. I did not do that. Alright, let's go build a bed workshop. Let's get some silk. And I'm gonna guess probably some wood would also be necessary. I have no wood whatsoever left, so we're gonna grab a little pile of that stuff. Toss that in there. Well, we really don't need it to be in there in particular, but you get the idea. Now we're gonna pop up here and see if we can bed it up. Where is the bed? We can make silk rope. No, not silk road. Different thing entirely. Also, how much money did I get? Not very much, actually. In expert mode, these pillars are quite profitable. Now, and not in expert mode, they are very much not. We're going to drop some silk onto this right here. We need 15 wood and 5 silk for a palm wood bed. Oh, you know what? I probably just wasn't in the right spot. I need a sawmill. That's the problem. Sawmill is up here. That's what it was. There we go. Now we've got a bed. And now we can put all the rest of the stuff away, rebuff, and head off. And, well, I guess I could put these fragments away, because there's really no point in me holding on to them for the moment. I'll just put them near the boss souls. I'm not going to need them, really, for anything else other than crafting an individual item from each pillar. And, well, we'll come back, and we'll check out what other things there are later on. I'll want to collect, I mean, we're probably going to have to go through the same bunch of pillars like 3 or 4 times before we actually get a Moonlord win, depending on how it goes. I mean, I have strategies in mind, and I know how well you can cheese this boss, and I have killed him on expert mode, so there is that, but I've never done it solo, and our strategy for doing it in co-op was basically for me and Austin to alternate going back to the nurse to heal. We set up little teleporters on our wooden area, and we would jump back and forth. He would fight him for a while, so it didn't teleport to me, and I would go and heal, then we'd do vice versa, and he'd heal, and we just continued that process on until we were successful. I'm not going to have the luxury of really having any time away from this boss fight, so I'm going to have to just live. Or die trying, I suppose, which is kind of the main method behind any boss fight, I guess. Look how cool that dragon is. Freaking lights up the world, lights up my life, and hopefully it'll light everyone on fire that opposes me, because that's kind of how dragons work if I've ever seen them. And I have seen them. I mean, I've never seen them IRL, but that would be cool, right? If there were such things. It's kind of too bad. Sometimes I wish there were creatures like dragons or griffins or crazy things like that. Chimeras. Crazy things. I mean, they're all, like, completely ridiculous. Oh, there's already a bed in here. What am I freaking doing, man? Alright, set, please. Set it and forget it, and then we'll go fight. And, of course, the turtle wants to get in on the action. Alright, freaking waste of time building this bed, apparently. Well, I'll put it in the furniture section for later. I'm sure I'll find another use for it. And perhaps, getting to the next area is going to involve another bed being necessary. Alright, so the main premise to these guys, let's see if I can remember. There are bugs that shoot... Is it, like, poisony stuff? I don't remember, actually, what's so bad about these guys. They're bugs and aliens, or aliens and bugs, or bug aliens, or bagalians, which are the bagel people from another planet, apparently. I always like that kind of fiction where they just take the premise of, like, you put 2 words together, and we've created a society around those 2 words. I'm thinking of cartoons specifically, where... You know, aliens can be anything. They could just be inanimate objects. You could have a brave little toaster, and that's not even an alien. It's just we've personified a toaster. But you could do anything with anything you want. I mean, you could take donuts and turn them into people. You could take shoes and turn them into people. I mean, everything could be a sentient being, right? So why not the bagel people of Bagalian? I mean, now that I say it like that, it sounds like a freaking Doctor Who episode. And I think they've actually poked fun at similar premises for the same sort of reasons, because I think it's just absurd and silly and kind of funny. But also, you know, who's to say you can't disprove it? You could have a parallel dimension for any possibility of any reality. And I don't want to go back into esoteric crazy land, because I spent all of last episode doing that, but it is quite tempting on occasion to talk about things like that. I appreciate, by the way, that you guys seem to have some fondness for when I go off on those bizarre rants, because I don't really predict when they're gonna happen, but occasionally stuff will jump into my head. I'd go with it, because what's the harm? You speculate about anything you want. And what's the harm in doing that, really? It's creativity, right? It's having imagination. I never want to live in a world where imagination is not encouraged. We've already gotten a banner from this new group. We've got a lot of banners yet to go. I'm gonna have to make so many freaking chests. I wonder why, since they added events, event bars and timers for all the other events, why didn't they just add one for these too? I guess they wanted it to be a mystery to some degree when you find out that the shield is down. But it's not really a mystery once you figure out that, like, the lines stop going back, which I think they already have, so actually the thing is open now. That actually went really fast. Maybe this is the easiest one. Also, I forgot, their big thing here is, you might have seen this happen a couple times, they create, like, a gravity channel, and you can just kind of, like, float on it, but the idea is that it kind of throws off your ability to navigate away from the enemies, so they'll line you up, and then a bunch of them will basically just whack you with lasers and stuff. It kind of sucks when that happens, but at the same time, it's not the hardest thing either to avoid. If we do happen to die, yeah, we did. I'm gonna be curious to see if the shield stays down or if it comes back. We do lose all of our buffs, which is unfortunate, because now we're gonna be at a slight disadvantage for the next time. But let's redo this guy here. Go outside, and we could have probably just put the Nimbus Rod over top of the thing, but let's also heal up too. Also, I might have wanted to use the Paladin's Hammer there just for the great crowd control options. Actually, this is doing like a bunch more damage, isn't it? There we go. Get that in. And this should fall very, very quickly. Alright, a little bit more. And then we just have to survive the onslaught afterwards. It's nice to know the shield stays down, so I don't have to worry about that, really. When I played this with Austin, like, I was dying left and right. I never really got to see what the deal was. We're overwhelmed with pain, and we died again. Okay, cool. Doesn't matter. We'll respawn, we'll go get the drop from the pillar, and then we'll go teleport back home again and see what we can craft, because I don't actually remember what this pillar drops as far as useful item. And we have so many potions now that I feel no remorse whatsoever about using any potions that I might need whenever I want to use them. It's fine. I've got like 8 stacks of 30 of these health potions, so it's all good. Oh yeah, give me those sweet fragments. We got 29. I think we got a few more in expert mode too, which I guess makes a lot of sense considering, well, we had to split them 2 ways, and also it's way harder, so like that they should give you a better reward, I think. Alright, why are we running back? I don't really know, but we're already there, so I might as well not teleport. And we'll just unclick our bed, head back to the actual proper house, and see what we can craft. Very quickly, we are mowing through these pillars. Not actually as challenging as I expected, but that's good in a way. I didn't want to get stuck for very long. So we've got 29 of these. Let's go up here. Cool looking item, whatever that thing is supposed to be. Alright, so it's up to between the Vortex Beater, which apparently has a very annoying sound associated with it, and the Phantasm, which is a very strong bow. So they're both ranged. This is the ranged pillar, I guess. I've kind of moved beyond using ranged damage for the moment, but I guess between the two of them, I'll pick the Phantasm. Right, I guess? I don't know. I'm not super sold on either one of them. They both have the same everything, really. It's just about which you'd rather use, and, well, if the sound is less annoying with the bow, then I guess that kind of seals that deal. I mean, we'll have both of them very quickly. There's no doubt in my mind we're going to have to farm the same items in the same pillars multiple times, so, you know, fear not. Just because we didn't get one of the items you wanted this time, there's always next time. So let's equip this and give it a couple fires and see what it looks like. I still have my endless quiver and a few wooden arrows. Alright, it's the one that shoots in bulk. There you go. That's what that does. Looks kind of cool, kind of complements my outfit a little bit, but, well, it could use to be a bit of a deeper blue. So let's toss these right in with the others. I think our next pillar is actually not super far away. It's just over there, and we've even got potentially another house. We could put our bed in with the steampunker. have a sleepover with the steampunker. That could be fun. Provided she's into it, of course. Let's put the banners away. Yep, this is going to be the end of our banner chest, this next one, I think. We should have extra room for those. Put those all away. And we're good. I should really, like, clear out some of this gel so I don't have to keep throwing it out. I'll just dump, like, 100 of this off. Occasionally I need to make extra torches, so I like having a little bit of gel on me. Oop. Yeah, that's what I meant to do. We're good. So let's click on this, let's click on this, let's click on that, and that. Off we go. Wish me luck, this could be the hardest one. We're gonna go in slightly reverse order just because it's in the way not to do it that way. And then if we get to the last one over yonder, we could just rest at this bed and approach it from the other side. So it'll kind of work out better that way. The orange one is the melee pillar, which is actually going to benefit us greatly because the item we'll get from this one is actually going to be really, really good. The magic one being the pink one, that's the last one we're going to do. That one we probably won't have much use for, but still, I mean, I want to obviously try and make all the items anyway, so it really doesn't matter. So I just need to survive long enough to get over to the bed and hopefully lay down a little bit of stuff over here. Oh, it's directly underneath that. That's scary. Okay, let's do that. Throw this down here, and we're set. So I guess I did need to make that bed after all. What can I use to help me out? I could just put down... Oh, I can't do that, actually. Yeah, these don't go through doors. That doesn't go through doors. I can't butter their bread through the door. I can do this, though. This could make this whole sequence quite a bit easier, actually, if I just wait for the dragon to do his business. Get his dragon business down. This feels so cheesy, though. Also quite boring, so I probably won't actually do that, but I could at least, don't put that there. Maybe like closer to the doors so it actually is useful. That seems so silly that it just like works to do that. I guess these guys are the hard counter to that concept, considering they just go straight through all the walls just like I'm trying to do. Like 80% of these monsters just don't even bother me when I'm in a house. So I guess really good spot to set up a house. That's what I've found out. Should I buff? I'll just buff. I got extra stuff, who cares? If I die, I die. We all die eventually. And they even drop hearts. Makes my life even easier. Yeah, it's gonna be really boring if I don't actually engage these things on occasion. So the thing I remember about the orange pillar is there are some worms that will show up, and I think that was one of them up above there, and as long as you stay toward the ground or on the ground, they don't bother you as much, but if you try and fight them in the sky, they just loop back around and kill you really fast, so you should probably avoid that whole scenario happening. You gotta hit them in the butt, because they're butt worms. I think the dragon's actually just like straight up taking care of those guys, which is a good feeling. No, I just wanted to shut the door so you didn't die, but now you're outside and you're gonna, and I can't really help you much. Go in your house. Thank you. We're gonna have a sleepover. It's not gonna be very fun if you're dead. Oh my god, she's freaking out. She doesn't know what to do with that wall. She's like, I really want to run away from this house. I don't know what to do. We're right under the freaking spawn of Satan. Wow, this is drastically easier to do on normal mode, I have to say. It almost feels like the difficulty gets exponentially harder in the later stuff. And, I mean, as intended, most likely, but we were struggling on every facet of this, even after we had beaten the Moon Lord. Oh, she died. Well, we tried to keep her alive. But we had, like, endgame armor and all the stuff we could ever want, and it still wasn't good enough. So that kind of sucks, but... well, I mean, it sucks, but at the same time, it was a really rewarding challenge when we pulled it off, so I guess it's not all bad. And there we go. Alright, so let's butter the bread of the solar pillar, probably avoiding this worm if at all possible. Like to place a little bit of rain on top of it, just like that. Maybe drop some yo-yo action on it. That's maybe not preferable. And just keep on buttering it. Should be done very soon. Oh yeah, look at that health go down. We just knocked like 2,000 off of it, but we're almost dead too, so, you know, gotta watch out for that. We might get away with this if we're very lucky, but no guarantees. We might also die right after it dies. Okay, there we go. Beautiful. That was smooth. That went really, really well. We didn't die a single time on the freaking orange pillar. I did not expect that to happen. Alright, cool. So let's go, and we'll click our bed, teleport home, and now we get to make a weapon that makes a very annoying sound, but is very useful for us. With our orange fragments, we shall create... We can either make the Daybreak or the Solar Eruption. This shoots freaking awesome, like, orange spears at stuff, which actually, like, sticks in them, I think. And this thing just shoots a sword that goes through walls over and over and over again. I have to take this one, as much as I'd like to take them both. We're, like, one away from getting them both, actually, which is really sad, but oh well. We also got Godly on it, which is so good! So this is now going to be most likely my strongest weapon. I mean, it could probably replace any one of these just fine. Well, I don't know, there's like a lot of these that there's not really a single reason to use anymore. I don't know. But this is what it does. It's silly, right? It goes through all the walls, it has super long range, it lights up things. It's quite powerful. So that's what we're after. What we're going to do at this point, though, is there's exactly one pillar left. Like I said, when we kill this pillar, that's what starts the Moonlord fight. I don't want to do the Moonlord fight in this particular episode, so what we're going to do is we're going to open some strange plants, and we're going to call it a day for now. Forgot to mention also last episode when I was doing the pirate invasion, I got a lucky discount card, which I didn't even realize. It was sitting over here, like where my potions usually are. I just didn't notice it. I feel like a jerk now for not seeing it, but oh well. And it basically just lowers shop prices so that way you can afford stuff a little bit better. It also is combinable with another item, which I already forgot. It, like, makes a ring of some kind. I'm going to just check because I want to see what it is again. Yeah, it combines with a coin ring, which is also a drop from the pirate invasion. So you can get both of those, put them together, and it makes a greedy ring, which increases your coin pickup range. And hitting enemies will sometimes drop extra coins, which is actually, like, a pretty cool effect. I don't know about, like, using an equip slot to put it on, but it's a cool effect. We'll just leave it at that. If it combined into, like, the cell phone or something, that could be ridiculous. But that's a little overpowered, I would think, as well. So, where's our dye vendor? Let's talk to him. We got 1, 2, 3, and 4. Hades dye, Unicorn Wisp dye. This is one I don't think I've seen yet. Let's go outside. Yep, this is a new one. Burning Hades dye we've seen, negative dye we've seen, Hades dye we've seen. So we found one new one on this particular run. Let's put these back in the bag. And it makes me glowing in pink, just like I expected. I mean, this would actually be perfect for the actual unicorn, I imagine. I gotta see what that looks like. Oh, baby. That is bubblegum pink. And it changed the sparkles also to be just as pink. So that's pretty cool. I don't know if I'll use this, but I'm glad that I found yet another dye that I didn't have, so bravo! Anyway, that's going to be today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it just as much as I did. I think we did very, very well, honestly, for our first attempt at the pillars. We died, what, once across 3 of the pillars? The 4th one might kill us, like, several times, but we'll see if that happens. And, well, I'm going to also take next episode's beginning to prepare for the Moonlord battle, of course, because we've got to have that ready to go. I'm not decided exactly about how I intend to fight him yet. I might, just for the sake of argument, try it out without building cheesy strats and just see how that works, because like I tend to do, I want to test my abilities against it, just, you know, to see if I'm even close, and then we can adjust from there. I know it might be frustrating when that happens, like if you know a guaranteed strat to do something, but I just like to learn as I go, and I've never played it solo yet, so we're gonna figure it out. Anyway, thanks everybody for watching as always. If you enjoyed the episode, please do leave a like on it. Greatly does help out. And I will see you for the next one real soon. Have a great night, everybody.